So I'm going to call to order at 7:04. And um, I guess we don't have any public participation besides Chris, right? There's nobody else in the meeting. Jock, you said that somebody from the Black Student Union might come.
Um, yeah, I just got a text. It said that the link isn't working. That's like
Oh,
on the official.
um,
I use that one. I
interesting.
think. Yeah,
I used
I
it.
used to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Well,
Let me,
Shalak, it would be much better really if I could talk to them offline because this is not a planning committee meeting.
sure,
This is the board, the board meeting. So please put them in touch with me directly
sure.
because if I would love to have their participation.
That's great. I can like send an email like with your email so you can
Yes,
coordinate that way. All right,
yes.
great.
Excellent.
Yeah,
And
and
Let me
I'm
do
not
that right
leaving
now.
town next week, so I'll be around all week.
Perfect.
okay. All right. So then, well, let's have Chris talk a bit about what you and Benny are working on then, so that also we can let you get on to your evening.
sure. Thank you. So first off, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. So I'm Chris Gervasi. I live on Pearl Street, and I've lived in Wakefield for almost 15 years now. And both my daughters go to the Wakefield High School. One's a senior and one's a freshman. And so, you know, basically what Benny and I have been talking about, maybe for the past, I'd say 2 to 3 months is, and I think actually, Sherry, I think I may have spoken to you at the farmers market about this, maybe even 6 months ago. So, essentially, I learned about an abolitionist, a local abolitionist who lived essentially at the site where the Greenwood Middle Elementary School is today. So his name is Charles Lennox Remond. Him and his wife lived there. He was sort of famous in his day prior to Frederick Douglass as being the preeminent speaker in the abolitionist and women's suffrage movement. So he traveled all across the United States and into Europe. And he basically was very well regarded, well renowned. He's got a lot of accolades in his sort of historical biography. But one of the things that I always struggled with was that not really many people are aware of him and his background and his family. And I started thinking, how do I kind of raise up attention and kind of maybe even recognition of some of his achievements and accomplishments? And then in connecting with Benny, she said, there's a much broader history to talk about as it relates to Wakefield, or at the time, South Reading. And so we started game planning and saying, how do we kind of bring some attention? How do we get people to be aware? How do we share these stories in a way that might be compelling? And so we kind of triangulated on this idea of doing a historical walking tour of Wakefield, sort of key monuments, key homes and key people within Wakefield, sort of related to, broadly speaking, Black history within our town. And so that was kind of our initial sort of thought process. So Benny did a really nice job. She started putting together a map with some key people. And we're still kind of working through the details of it, like in terms of what content, what locations, what the dates, and all that good stuff, as well as like kind of building a website and getting the awareness out. So that's kind of in flight right now. But the hope was to kind of start with the HRC and maybe even the Martin Luther King efforts that happened in January as an opportunity to share what the plan is. We're targeting a spring 2025 walking tour, just as the first one. We'll likely do more in the future. I'll also add that I have reached out to both a couple of teachers in the Galvin Middle School who had some interest in participating. And I also reached out to the two Black Student Union teacher advisors at the high school. I haven't heard back from them quite yet, but I literally just emailed them on Friday. So we're trying to look for not just Benny and I kind of driving this. We kind of want to include sort of our young people and our educators to kind of participate in this, just to make it a little bit more involved and more of a community event. Because our sort of feeling is like, two people getting out there and sort of speaking is one thing, but having the community kind of embrace this is a much better approach. And so that's kind of where we're at now. And I thought I'd at least share it with you and sort of get your feedback in terms of where you think we might go and how we might be able to partner or present at the Martin Luther King event in January. So, and what guidelines I need to follow in order to do that. So I don't know, I'll pause there for any questions.
Black History Month is February. There isn't any chance it would be in February, is it?
So we talked a lot about that, and we're worried about the temperature. So we
Oh,
were
but
worried
it's
about.
so warm now. I mean, global warming.
Yeah,
I know.
I wonder if there's, so for the Martin Luther King event, I would say um just a short mention of it. I will, Sherry, you may have more of an idea of
Yeah.
the schedule, but however many minutes you would suggest and where in the program you might suggest.
And I would suggest that if you could, if you have
Yep.
any visuals and slides, we'd incorporate it in your 5-minute presentation talking about this particular project. And it would come towards the end of the program itself, because
Right.
that's when we generally announce programs outside of the direct ones that we're doing at the time, or that's when we do things that are outside the program for the day. So if you could plan to talk for 5 minutes and have some background slides behind you, it could have, some little maps if you have something like that,
Yeah.
or a lead slide. I'd love that. And of course, I would share it with WCAT, and it would end up
Mhm.
going on the YouTube video. So those who are not even at the function, at the event, will be able to see this.
Cool.
Plus, I'm more than happy to help you promote it as a, part of the HRC and a private citizen as well.
Cool. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's awesome. I could definitely put together a few slides and prep for 5 minutes, and I'll chat with Benny as to how
And
we want to do that.
if you know for February, any books or like anything that there might be that you could put at the library and have them do a little bit of the table, you might do that with a flyer about it, also mentioning that it was something coming. That could be a link in without making people walk around in February.
In fact, if you involve the library as your meeting place where the tour begins, they will help you promote it, and they have quite the healthy system of email distribution.
That's great. Yeah, thank you for that feedback. That is absolutely awesome. Yeah, you're right. A flyer and a whether it's a presentation or some sort of like display at the library, I'll definitely reach out to them because you're right. That would make a whole lot of sense and would definitely help get to the right people within the community. So that's good.
Cool.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, I think that that's exciting. And then once we get nearer to spring, if you, and you've planned a bit more what it will be, of course, at the least, we probably, some of us may wish to go on it and, and beyond
Yeah.
that, I don't know, we can, you can see if there's any other, possible way for us to work on it or support you, so.
Yeah, thank you. Honestly, this is totally open. Like Benny and I just sort of obviously we have day jobs and all, like we all do. Like so, we're busy, but we're sort of like this is so important, and we just feel like there's a lot of people who are who are interested, and I have like asked to help and volunteer at certain levels. I mean, we're even open to like students actually doing like here we're at this spot and a student is going to basically read the content or help us with the content. Like we're all open to everything. We just think it's like a real valuable opportunity for people to learn about our history and learn about some folks that maybe don't have street names after them right now. And so like sharing these stories really kind of gives better and broader awareness to everyone within Wakefield. So we're very jazzed about it all. So
there's a crossover here also with International Women's Month, because one of the main donors that built the memorial that they've just beautifully restored on the Common was a female, was a woman, and we have promised that we would make sure that she was better known throughout our efforts during International Women's Month and Day. And if you have the names of other women who are prominent, what we'd like to do is put together some kind of feature on prominent women in Wakefield's history. So
Yeah.
we would include those women that you have discovered through your research as well.
Yeah, there's I could send it to you all, but Josephine Courtney is her name, and she had several homes in Wakefield about 120 or 30 years ago, but we'll grab some of that detail and share it. She owned a business and basically was well regarded and well known within the town. And I also say Charles Remond's wife, I believe her name is Maggie. I don't have like specifics on the top of my head, but I believe that she was fairly active with him. I think in those days he was more prominent because he was published in newspapers at the time. But in terms of speaking engagements, she often traveled with him, and I think she influenced his positions on the right to vote, right? And so for him, he was sort of like, I'm fighting for justice for me, but I'm fighting for justice for everyone, and that means people who are
Charles Remond,
basically,
abolitionist, Wakefield.
yeah, yeah, it's Lennox Remond, Remond. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm sitting here with my phone, so I happen to Google, and I'm getting a John, not a Charles, it's John C. Fremont. Is that the same person?
Try
No, no,
Fremond, M-O-N-D.
Remond. Yeah.
Or, yeah, I have that. And it says during the first year of the Civil War, Fremont fervently and controversially attacked slavery and slaveholders in Missouri. But
No, that's a different
that's not a
person.
different person.
Different
Okay.
person. Yeah.
The wrong one
Charles
came up. Okay.
Charles was
John C. I'm not getting a Charles.
yeah, let me go.
Or, okay,
Yeah.
maybe there'll be someone else if I do a search on my computer rather than my phone.
Let's see if I don't think I can chat on this.
And it's Fremont.
No, Remond.
Oh, Remond. No wonder.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, or Remond. Yeah, it's hard to,
Okay.
he was from Curacao and he was born, his parents are from Curacao. He was born in
Charles
Salem.
Remond, abolitionist, Wakefield, Mass.
Yeah.
And of course, gave me Raymond, not Remond. So
Well, we
That's
can
okay.
do our research
We
at
can do our
another
due
time.
diligence after. Thank you for
Yeah.
bringing this to us, Chris.
Yeah.
I think this is a wonderful addition to
Awesome.
the effort we make in Wakefield for people to appreciate our history, our diversity, and to respect the people who brought us to where we are today.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate you having me. And yeah, I will send you guys updates as we go forward and
Cool.
we'll get the PowerPoint together. And if you need me to jump back on in the December meeting, I'm happy to. So
Okay, great.
Sounds
cool.
good.
Thank
Or-
you all.
You can
care.
also contact me directly about the MLK Day, and my email is just my name @gmail.
Okay. Thank you very much. I got it.
Cool.
All right. Bye. I'll see you.
Bye. Take care.
This is good.
So are we able to do October minutes? I don't,
We have 3 out of the 5,
yeah, so that's,
and the 3 of us were all there, right? Jalak, you
Yeah.
were meeting, and okay,
Yeah.
so we can vote.
so I think that that's okay. I am, did anybody have any corrections or any notes?
Yes, I sent it to everybody, the full name of the Martin Luther King Day.
Oh, right. Yep.
That's the only addition I wanted to make to that we had the full name.
Okay. I remember
You know,
that.
if you just Google, if you can't find the email, if you just Google MLK theme 2025, it comes right up.
So, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with that change.
I will second the motion.
And all in favor, Jalak?
I
Yeah,
Yes.
we just need you
Oh,
to verbally say yes.
we verbally
yes,
say it.
yes.
Good.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I actually works too, but
It's different in like like honor society meetings, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
Aye or yes is fine, as long
Yes.
as
either way.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
All right. And those are passed. hold on, I'll make a note. I motion to approve. And okay,
Is the next
I'll
thing,
organize these into something that makes sense later. Okay, operations,
I have a couple of comments for the financial reports, very
yeah,
brief.
I know you have a couple comments for the financial reports. For general operations, I have the bin of stuff at my house. I have to drop that back off at town hall. I haven't had a chance to. I'll do that next week, just in case anybody is looking for anything. And I think that we may need to print off some more brochures, so
Because there must have been, when I passed it along, put it back in storage, there must have been 40 or 50 brochures.
yeah, I have to just count them. I put a stack out at the Hispanic Heritage Month, and
Okay,
so I just want to make sure. But if anything, that's the only thing
I
that
can take care of that.
okay. And yeah, so that's all I have for that at the moment.
Do we want to, we don't usually have any giveaways at MLK Day. Do we want to?
It'd be nice, I think. Last year I noticed that a lot of people took things, took like bracelets and stuff, but it was all Pride stuff. And
Mhm.
I think that it would be nice to have something that was that that was more about diversity or might be more specific to that day. I mean, everybody can always have rainbow stickers, of course, but I'll look into see something that's more fitting for the day.
Excellent, thank you. Because I'm sort of pulling my hair on other details.
Yeah, of course, no
Appreciate
problem.
the help. Is it time for me to make a couple of comments about?
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay, I looked at the reports and right away I saw that in ERA, they had attributed some expenses that are for the renewable Wakefield. Tiana's expenses on ours.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah.
and we went back and forth and finally they took them off.
Mhm.
Sherry had misallocated, Sherry Dalton. And then the other thing I wanted to note is that the $1,000 we paid to Charlotte Dones, the Indigenous woman, was not reflected yet. It will be on the next report. So
Okay.
we have $1,000 less than what it says on there. So we have like 2,400.
Okay.
Okay. And no, I'm sorry, less than that, because $500 was for the Hispanic Heritage, and that was so 15. We have about $1,500 in the account,
Okay.
which is still a
Um,
high amount.
I believe if we want to do something like I know that Hun had wanted to do possibly a food truck thing and some of these cultural events. Um I believe that the Economic Development Group, with Julia Orsino, I think is the chair of that. There may be some money available through there because I believe that they're trying to do some cultural or put money into some cultural events. So if we have an idea and there is something that we really want to do and we feel like we're coming up short, there may be some other town groups that we can work together with to get some money.
Plus Jill put in for the grant, and we should know
Yep.
by February if we have
Yeah,
that
yeah, I
grant as
gotta
well.
do.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
that's my other thing that I'm going to be doing in November and December. So yeah, that will be another thing. But there does seem to be some money for cultural events generally in Wakefield right now. So we can reach out if once we have an idea or if we have something that we feel like could be nice and that we have the time to put together, then we can reach out. Um, so that. I'll put that down. There are too many different group names. Economic development. So so everything was corrected, and we're waiting to see the Indigenous Peoples' Day event on there.
Mhm.
And okay, that sounds good. While I type these things in here, do you want to give an update on Martin Luther King, what you need from us from Martin Luther King?
I wish Jill was here because she. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. I can't believe my husband is calling me. He knows I'm in a meeting. He must have, maybe he pocket dialed. Okay, I just said I declined the call. Okay, Martin Luther King. So I have gotten in touch with the head of gospel music at Berkeley a couple of times. He did not respond. So I have since then gotten in touch with directly the Joyful Voices, which is a choir that he's involved with, the Boston City Singers, and then I found out in a Google search that the First Church of Stoneham also has a choir that does gospel. So I've contacted them. Right now, what I've done most of, besides trying to get more entertainment, and Jill is working on getting a group of elementary school students to sing "What the World Needs Now Is Love, Sweet Love." The other things would be a faith leader. And actually, Rabbi Greg, who is supposed to be our official liaison, has been talking to a new rabbi in town, the one who has formed the study organization, the educational organization, which is called a Shabbat. And I actually had coffee with him the other day because I wanted to make sure that if they do anything, any kind of event, and they are doing a special event for giving thanks before Thanksgiving. I said, as long as it's not overtly for one religion or another religion, it's for the community, we would be very, very happy to post that on our Facebook page. And I talked to him about how in the future we may have other things that, because he's part of the clergy council now, other things that we can cooperate in. But he's so new to town. He just moved up here from Brooklyn, my hometown, just 8 months ago with his wife and 2 children.
Okay.
Brand new baby and his 2-year-older. Really nice people, and they are absolutely in love with living in small town after living in the middle of urban Brooklyn. And I can understand that. So that's the kinds of things I've been working on. And I have reached out to every possible teacher, principal, PTO person who could have at the Boys and Girls Club, the library, who can have any influence over getting submissions from the children for artwork and for poetry. And in fact, you know, the Boys and Girls Club is taking over the bake shop, the bread shop, and they're putting in an Inspire Cafe. And I am going to be meeting with Evan on Friday to see the space because he would do an art gallery display of this artwork for us after Martin Luther King Day. So I thought that would be an extra nice thing because that would be a space people would really see the artwork. I just hope, last year we had 3 submissions. They were all wonderful. I hope we get 10 this time so it's worthy of a gallery. The other thing, and Jess, you know this, is I've been trying to contact as many people as possible. Also, wait a second, that's a different issue. No, that's a different issue. That's a different issue. I'll talk about that later. Oh, for art, I have been, like I said, I've touched everybody I can and said earlier than last year. And let's hope we get a lot of submissions. I've also touched the teachers and asked them about students who might want to do readings. And I hope the Black Student Union students might want to do this. And I just wanted to ask you folks about, I know it's Martin Luther King Day, but it's the message is for all peoples, whatever their color is, whatever their religion, whatever their background. Is it, I'm not uncomfortable having white people coming up and speaking the words of Martin Luther King. But do you think that that is appropriate or inappropriate? Should I try harder to have people of color? Last year we had an Asian student and a Hispanic student reading for us. There was no Black Student Union. I've reached out to Glavia, haven't heard back, to ask about the Metco kids. I'm hoping to hear back from her because last year there was no facility, cooperation there, or participation, I should say. They just weren't available. So how do you feel about the who it is that we have on the stage? Jess, you're muted. Unmute.
I'd like to hear from the Black Student Union leader to see if they have some recommendations. I think that it would be, I'm trying to think of who else we've worked with maybe for Juneteenth as well, to see if there are just any recommendations of people in the community who would be able to speak. It's it's I think it's more powerful to have, to personally, but I also would, I'm not the best person to ask because I'm from outside of, um, the community already. So I'm making a call that is already from an outsider perspective. So I think see what they think and see who we might be able to get. And I can reach out to the woman that we've worked with for Juneteenth just to see if she might know.
Oh, no, don't
Well,
let me
yeah, if
coordinate
you
these
wanted,
things.
I'm just trying to think of
Yeah.
who else, because I mean, I also am new to here and my community is very small. I do not know a ton of people. So I think, but I think it would be, it's of course not, I think it's better to have people reading and have people speaking, but if we can do that effort, make that effort, I think that's
No, I will, I
good.
plan on getting in touch with the
Yeah.
Juneteenth anyway, because I want to reserve Juneteenth, their services for Juneteenth early.
Yep.
Um, which always takes a big burden off of us because they pretty much package and bring everything we need. Although it is always nice to have some local speakers as well from the community. But for Martin Luther King Day, like this is the second time I've done it, and I've gone to all of them the last God knows how many years. It's how I got interested in the HRC, and it's never been there's never been a hesitation to have white people speaking, reading, children. I remember there was a choir of middle-aged people who sang one year from, I think they were from the Unitarian Church. Um, just, there's never been, because the message is the important part.
Yeah, I mean, at its core, I don't think it's problematic or anything like that. I would always try our hardest.
Yes.
And then, people are also, there are also the problems, or some of the problems are like on these specific days. I think that people get overextended because it is when people reach out and say, speak and sing and do all of these things because everybody's attention is on this day. And so I think that it can also be, exhaust people a bit. So I would say make our best effort, and then I think then but still have a nice event celebrating the idea and the message of
And,
it.
and, thanks to Jacques, I will have, I hope, some participation from the Black Student Union. I mean, let's face it, Wakefield is not a hugely diverse town. It would be, and we don't need, I would just love to have a rainbow of faces. That's what I like. For all of our events, I wish we could. At the same time, our political leaders who always come forward and do wonderful speeches for us are also Caucasian, except for Representative Wong. Everybody else is white. But the message is there. And the sentiment is there. And the fact that a community like Wakefield will celebrate this at such a level, I think says a lot for the community anyway. It really does. It's just like celebrating Juneteenth or celebrating Pride. I mean, these are not huge populations necessarily in our town, and yet we celebrate them. We celebrate our Asian community. We celebrate our Hispanic community. We try to celebrate everybody. And this year, because now that I've met the Rabbi Shruli, I will be at the menorah lighting because I know it's on December 29th. So if I am in Wakefield, I will be at that menorah lighting this year to celebrate the Hanukkah holiday, even though I'm not personally observant. But it's just every year we go through this. We don't want to be, we don't want to, what is the word when you try to take on the attributes of a group that's not your own? We don't want to be insensitive in that way and do that. But at the same time, we want to celebrate because the message is the important thing on MLK Day.
And I think that we can always work to, I mean, I think we can always work to widen our circles of who we know and who we, I think, this is, it's, that's the work that we keep doing. So the more people that we know in different communities and can bring into these events, then also the more people we know in town who I think that it can be easy to dismiss towns as having not a really diverse population, but I think sometimes people are unseen and we don't, we get stuck in the circles that we are stuck in.
Right.
And so I think, as much as we can, we'll try. And it sounds like you are trying to reach out. So I think as long as you keep doing it in earnest, and if
Yeah.
you need any help on that, then I think that's our goal.
And another element of Martin Luther King Day is we do a community service award, and I have widely distributed that application all over town. Plus, we do a community service project. And right now, I am going to the youth council meeting on Thursday night because they want to do an intergenerational project of some sort with the senior center. And I'm on the Council on Aging as well. And they were delighted to hear that they would have some kind of involvement with the youth council. So I'm going to go to the youth council and see what kind of ideas they have for the community service project this year. Last year, we did painting at the Boys and Girls Club, and it was intergenerational in that we had an 8-year-older and we had a 75-year-older. We had a couple of dozen people of all different ages. It was a wonderful event. It was just one morning, but it was really nice to see all these different people come out. And this time I'm trying to get the students involved as well. And so I talked to Ali and they invited me to the meeting, and I am going tomorrow, Thursday night, to the meeting at Town Hall. So I hope to have a really good project for us this year as well. But in addition, just think on, if that doesn't work out, we still need a community service project. So still put on your thinking caps. Amy, I know you're very much tuned into things going on in the community that might need assistance or beautification. And perhaps you even have some ideas from your observations, in your line of work, in your contacts. We just try to get, like I said, it's just a morning that we get a few dozen people involved with doing something good within the community that benefits whoever we've chosen to benefit that year.
Yeah, absolutely. I know in some of the years past, one year the department had a want for hand warmers, hats, gloves, mittens for some of our folks without residences. I think we're doing pretty good on that. I don't know that we have hand or toe warmers, that you would peel and they actually, heat up the, surface touching. So that was one thing that we did. Another thing, and with leftovers, because we only need so many at the station. With leftovers, I brought them to the Malden Warming Center that's open from December to the end of March. So you could, reach out to the Warming Center in Malden because that is the most local shelter for the Wakefield area, and you could see if they have any needs, or Respond Inc., which is the domestic violence agency, kind of like a sister agency to Hawk. You could reach out and see if they have any families in the shelters that have any specific needs that we could, collect things for. So it's just a couple ideas if we don't have something else pop up, but.
Okay. And since I think you're all aware that I hope you are, not that they've done a big job of advertising it, but they're actually going to be opening up the second and third floor of the senior center on Converse Street. They're doing this amazing renovation so that there's even more space because that place is just like bursting at the seams in terms of activities and participation. So many people use it. And now they're going to be able to have some of their smaller meetings on the second and third floor so that the bigger rooms on the first floor and downstairs can be more available for the larger events that they do and participation. And so that's one of the things I asked them, I said, they're doing beautiful things on the second and third floor. Does the senior center need something on the basement and the first floor to make the welcome even better and bring people in because that is a wonderful community asset. This town is incredibly supportive of their older population. They do a wonderful job. They really do. It encourages me to stay here to the day I die.
Yeah, let me know how that's going, and if you want me to reach out to any of these other places for community service project, after you go to the meeting,
Mhm.
I can help to organize
Send me
that.
ideas because we'll see what happens with the students. But they're good to go. They did something intergenerational last year that wasn't a community service. It was the kids did it with the seniors. But I would hope that maybe we can do something even more visible that involves people in the middle age groups as well, not just the people on either end of it. So that's Martin Luther King Day has a lot of moving parts. It really does. And we'll see how it goes.
Are there any other like student like clubs or groups you want me to reach out to for the community service project?
Well, let's see what the youth council has to say.
All right.
But when we do have a project, I certainly would like your help getting those students involved with the project as well, helping out.
Mhm.
I think it's important for them to feel, even at a young age, to feel like they have a responsibility to our community as well,
Sure.
and that they have a part to play, an important part to play. Yes, and I don't know what other, because you've been helping me stay in contact with different student groups. I know with the students from the AAPI group are certainly invited to be speakers at MLK Day as well.
Mhm. All
We're
right.
still, and I know the music department is going to Memphis.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we won't have their services. They're gonna just have a great time. I mean, oh, and I've already told you guys, I was in Memphis recently and I have some really great slides from the Civil Rights Museum that I can flash up on the screen as an interlude, because that's very relevant to Martin Luther King. And it's at the Lorraine Hotel where he was murdered. It's an incredibly moving experience. It's an exhausting place to be emotionally. It was really amazing. Anyway, so I've taken up more than enough time. Moving on.
That's okay. I know that that's a big event coming up. The Hispanic Heritage Month event, it went well. There were about 25 people who came, and people were really moved by her reading and the storytelling. I ended up only being able to go to the beginning of it because I've had some family stuff going on that my wife had to suddenly be out of town, so I had to go home and do kid care. But I got things set up and put some materials out and met the author, and it ended up being a nicely attended event. So that was good. And Graciela said she'd be interested in working on things in the future. So I think she's a good contact. The International Women's Update,
Can I
Women's
say
Day.
one thing about
Yeah.
before you go on? I was very surprised on the lack of connection in Graciella's promotions to Hispanic heritage. It wasn't something prominently mentioned, and I was very surprised.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because it was sort of it was later in the month, the day I forget what the
It
exact
was the
dates
30th,
are.
because
Yeah.
I know I wasn't available either.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, but again, I worry it is nice to do things for the events, but I worry a little bit less if we're actually putting on nice events that interest the community and might also reach out beyond the community. And the storytelling, the book that she wrote and the storytelling that she does is very much about how to use storytelling to talk about, the different issues in the community and relating, like how that affects people, how that affects, um, you know, like how you can use storytelling to heal and to connect. And I think that to me is powerful enough that if we don't hit a moment for an event, but we reach the community, I think that's okay. I'm okay with that.
Mhm.
So, so, so that's that. And I thought it was really a nice. Plus, I'm also pro storytelling. I do think storytelling will heal us all. So, so that was that. The International Women's Day, I need to reserve the auditorium for that date, and 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 do some stuff on that. I've been a bit busy, um, with both life and other elements of HRC business, but I will begin to organize that, and I've got a few ideas for who we can have to speak, um, and
Do you have a general theme for the event? And
I don't know what the
that's
theme
the
is.
first thing you need, is something
I
to,
know, but you know what? I mean, I'll get the theme. I'll
yeah,
figure out the
because you
theme.
can't
The
just
theme last
slot
year, the
people,
theme.
you pick the people according to their ability to address.
I know the theme last year was so broad though that I feel like all the people that we brought together, I thought really were able to not that we can just throw a bunch of people in and make it up as we go along, but I think that having a few ideas of people who would be good, I think that we can organize it into having a decent narrative around whatever the theme is.
I mean, last year, the theme was actually focused on women who had succeeded in traditionally male occupations. So it was very targeted.
But it was also technology. So I feel like
Well,
it,
that was part of
yeah.
the areas that they succeeded in. But we chose all military women, marketing, government. We had women from all walks of life who had succeeded in fields that were traditionally male. And so I thought it was quite focused, and we chose all people that could address that. And of course, things you get off on other tangents as well, but that was certainly, I thought, a unifying theme. So we need something to unify the reason for all of those particular people to be at the same table together. Um, that's step one. And
Well, right now it looks like it's accelerate action. So, and so I
women who
think,
are movers and shakers.
yeah, but
Seriously, women
I
who,
know, but we're, again, I think that
yeah.
I feel like first I'll get the auditorium and then we can ideate a little bit together on what that might be. I think that movers and shakers, I think that um that could be interesting. Um I think that I'll read a little bit what they're kind of aiming for. I mean, I know that um we're in a moment in time where I think people most of all need um inspirational women who can guide us through troubled
and
times.
and
So
women who have
so
taken the lead
so it
when
could also be about
things were
activism.
challenging. That's what I mean by movers and shakers, women who
Yeah,
really take the lead when things were challenging.
yeah.
And, and we, like in the last few years, even before I was doing this, you usually trying to find people, like I said, a variety of different professions and walks of life. So, because there's different perspectives, but, and it does sound broad, but that's
Yeah.
at least something that they can hang their hats on, and we can develop the questions to,
Yeah.
you know, and then we can also promote it. If we have something, we need something to make, you know, be able to promote it.
Yeah.
Thematic.
But yeah, so that's the next thing on the list at this moment.
Mhm.
I was also I was at the town council meeting. Uh Bob Vincent submitted the request to put up the pride flag and the Juneteenth flag for 2025, and it was passed by the town council. So so thanks to him, and thanks to Paul from the Veterans Group, who also spoke on behalf of support of it. So that was a good bridge between groups to continue on what I think we did last year for the dates and for the schedule for the flags for June.
Mhm.
And then the memorial, I'm in contact with Bob to both work with him on 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 that, and then also to add any element of to International Women's Day. This year is, I believe, the 160th anniversary of Juneteenth. And there is also a Wakefield person, I believe, who was there in Texas when they arrived on Juneteenth. So
Really?
I will find out all of the names and historical points also to see what kind of tie-ins we can have, and also
Is
there.
this a person who still is living?
No, I don't think so.
No.
But they uh, um but just to mention it and like have kind of a historical note, since if it's an anniversary. I mean, I know the Juneteenth organization does it, but any kind of Wakefield connection, it's always nice to talk to them about that, or have that information. And I know Bob has it all. Um so yeah, those are the things on my list. Um I'm also doing the minutes. I'm writing down everything that I just said.
And Shalak, I owe you an orientation because you would have known that anybody can come to these meetings by getting that link. And so it takes 15 minutes. You and I can schedule it sometime together. And
Yeah.
I just send you this, you'll get on the screen with me. I'll send you a quick Zoom meeting thing. You'll see the different slides and I'll talk through it. And it would be really, really good because I'm not going to be on this commission forever if Jess or Han or Jill were involved with, because none of them have ever done this presentation and they should, and it's really not difficult, but I would like to have a co-pilot so that so they can have that experience as well.
Sure.
But it would be helpful, I think, for you for the next several months to know
Yeah.
all this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I haven't done it sooner.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, we can set that up later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can take on knowing the things you know. So if you want to let me know what the presentation is, give me a shout, and then
Yeah.
I can have that information.
It's a PowerPoint
Yeah,
that has
I
an
recall
evolving
doing it.
script, depending on, things change. And I think I need to make some corrections on there because some things have changed.
So I believe that is all. I felt like there was one more note. Oh, you had mentioned that you reached out to somebody who might be interested in being a commissioner, Sherry, after the Saturday meeting.
Yes, there was a young man, Chris Bossy,
Mm-hmm.
got up and spoke twice, and I thought he was so well-informed and well-spoken, that after the meeting, I thanked him and I personally almost pleaded with him, invited him to please consider applying. He said, well, how long is the term? I said, it's 3 years. He said, well, I don't know if I'm going to be in Wakefield for the next 3 years. I said, however long you could help us, we would love to have you participate, because he just seemed, you would know who he was if you went back, and he was one of the people who spoke so well about the Constitution and human rights, and he just seemed to be particularly knowledgeable. I'm always looking for people, and it's so difficult. I don't know what you guys are going to do, because we absolutely have to rebuild this council, this commission. And no matter what I've sent out, no matter promotions, no matter what broadcast I've sent out, I've talked to so many people. We haven't succeeded, except for Han. I got Han to join, and getting some new commissioners. And we really, really need more people, especially, like I said, I have another year and a half, and then I'm not going to be a commissioner any longer. And I'm involved with a lot of different things. And so you need people to learn about those things and fill in those roles.
Yeah, I've reached out to a couple of people who might be interested. I'm not sure. They are, as always, also overextended, so it's it's a it's like
I have to tell you,
an encouragement and a warning.
I have to tell
But
you, the best
so
commissioners I can remember in the past were people whose lives were incredible. They had multiple children, full-time jobs, marriages, homes.
homes.
They
Oh,
served,
great.
and
Can
they
I have
did great.
homes?
And they did great. And
Yeah.
they did great. So it's a matter of will and
Right.
organization.
But I'm also going, I reached out to Maureen to also talk about, just to talk about, direction and maybe also revitalizing, the group a little bit, just to see where we're going since we've got smaller numbers. So I'm kind of, working on that as well, by bugging everyone. So we'll see. Nothing has come of anything, but I'm drinking coffee with a bunch of people who are interested and in what we do, at least, and are interested in what will be, um what Wakefield will be, and how we can get the things done that we want to get done. So
One thing matters not anticipated, I forgot to mention, is I went the day after Election Day, I went to Jason Lewis's forum for people involved in human rights. And there were only two of us directly from commissions, but I met a whole bunch of other people, and I've asked Jason's assistant to please send me the contact information for all of the human rights groups in our area, because I will arrange a meeting specifically for those people, because the meeting that we had with Jason was heavily concentrated on the issues of what will happen to the immigrant community. And it was fascinating. There were people from the ACLU, and there was a gentleman who manages diversity for the city of, I believe it's Lynn. And, oh no, I'm sorry, for Reading. Reading has a diversity manager.
yeah, they have,
So there were people there who are in various aspects of working in human rights, but there weren't people. I thought there was going to be a meeting of Human Rights Commission people. So I am hoping that it's the holiday season's tough. It's not going to happen to the new year. But, and since we have spaces in town that are spaces that are appropriate that we can use at no charge, we can have that sort of meeting and invite these people and see if the people from the different commissions can somehow or another come up with the hows and whys of revitalizing and maintaining and sustaining the commissions, because they're all having trouble getting people to volunteer. Everybody.
Yeah, it's but I think that it is interesting to see also what other communities are doing. I was interested to find out that Reading had a DEI person now,
But
and
they don't really have a human rights commission to speak of anymore.
right, but that's, I mean, not to say do they need it, but they kind of they went in a different direction, and yet they're still meeting the needs. And so I think that that's the I'm not suggesting dissolving our commission, but I think seeing how other communities are working and figuring out how we can learn from that and what we might make our goals and our purpose, I think is useful. I know that I know that in Melrose, I think they've got an HRC, but their goals are a little bit different than ours. I think that they're more of a like a liaison, an advisory committee for things going on, and they don't do as many events. So I think that it's good to learn. So I think that having a meeting of minds of people that you from these different towns, I think is a good idea. Because I think that it can help us to focus our goals, and when people are coming to volunteer, I think or when we're reaching out to people to volunteer, we can have more of a sense of where we're going and what we can get done.
I will say that Wakefield over the years has been much admired by the other towns for being such a proactive HRC in terms of providing information and programming to promote understanding and diversity. Much more active than most of the other towns. The gentleman in Reading, I think it sounds like his job is more involved with staffing for the town than it
Yeah.
is for anything else in the community. And I know from talking to people in Melrose, the reason their focus sort of changed is they just didn't have the wherewithal to do the work that like we do. And so we are somewhat, I said, we're outliers in that we're still so proactive in doing things and respected and admired for that, but also people scratching their heads like, how the hell do you do that when you only have, 5 voting commissioners?
Right.
It's
Yeah, and I think that that's, I think perhaps now is a time where people will hopefully be motivated to feel like they're joining and taking action. I think that there's value here, and I'm not saying change our mission or anything like that. It would help as we have small numbers to just learn from what we have in our surrounding communities, and how we can better work together, and maybe share share in some of the planning, as well as some of the other actions that they're taking. So I am always a fan of building coalitions. So so I think that that's good. And hopefully people will be motivated right now to get involved. So as we reach out, we might also, if somebody knows a person who knows a person, then that's the best way to get people involved. And I know that there's a lot of like pride I mean, I've talked to Bob quite a bit recently, and there's a lot of pride in Wakefield for having this HRC. So I think it's just helping us to figure out how we can really continue to do the level of programming that we've done, and how we can maybe extend our reach. So
And oh, by the way, for your International Women's Day, Catherine, who doesn't work for the health department any longer, but lives in Wakefield, wants to be involved with that event. So
what's her
opportunity
last
to
name
volunteer.
again?
I'm not going to remember her last name at the moment. I have her last name and I
I
have,
have it too. I have her email from last year. She wants to
but
be
make
involved. Great.
sure that when you call a committee meeting, I would like to be involved too. Catherine, Jill, we can put our heads together and talk about it. But Catherine,
Yeah.
definitely invite her.
Yep, I like her.
And
I mean, not that I
of
wouldn't.
course,
But
everyone's invited. Jalak is invited. Amy is invited. Anyone at all who would have input into how we can have the best possible event. And that's always a signature event for us. It's always a great event.
yeah.
So, and it's not as difficult as some of the other events, putting on a
Yeah.
panel. It's, anyhow, okay.
Well, it is 8:04. I will make a motion to adjourn.
I will second that motion.
Great. All in favor?
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
okay,
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you, Amy, for being here. It's
yes.
have a good night.